Right, so as I said before, metaphors are geocentric. Now, what this means is they're fairly fixed. Now, because they're fixed, there's a number of things that seem to emerge, and there's some quirks in the English language that caught my attention. Things like, there's what's left, and there's what's right. There's what we look forward to, look forward, and there's what's behind us, what's in the background. Now, what's left isn't wrong, it's just not necessarily what's right. And what's right for us may not be right for other people, but what's right for us, and if we do what's right, we may find we never actually move forwards. Now, moving forwards may get us what we want, but it may not be right or left. And it certainly isn't the stuff that's in the background. So what started to emerge was there's lots of idioms around the different directions, forwards, back, left, and right, that seem to work very nicely in English. Now, teaching this internationally, it becomes clear that every other language, every country that I teach in, I only speak English. Through translators, they struggle to translate these as idioms. There are some things that correlate, but most of them don't. Then last year, when I was teaching in Tokyo in Japan, where I couldn't do any of the idiomatic aspects of the metaphors of movement training, simply because nothing that I was going to offer could be translated. So I just kept with the structures. Some interesting things started to emerge. So there's what's left, and there's what's right for us. There's what's ahead of us, or what we look forward to. There's what's behind us, what's in the background. Now we also have what's left behind, and also what's right behind us. There's the right way forwards, and the one everyone forgets, which is the way forwards that's left. So we have what's left, what's right, what we look forward to, what's in the background, what we've left behind, what's right behind, what's left in front, and what is right in front of us. Now, these all carry idiomatic implications because they're double entendres. They have a meaning at one level, but also a meaning at another level. So I then started to look at these things. So what is left? What's left is what is unexplored. That's all of the stuff that's left for me. I haven't explored it yet. That's what is left. What's left behind, as I've just said, is what's discarded. I've left it behind. What's behind me is what's in the background. It's my past generally, or where I've come from. If I'm on a path, that's where I've come from. What's right behind me is usually pretty close. It's still very active. It's still part of who I am and what I'm doing. It's part of my existing reality. What's right for me is what's correct for me. What's right in front of me is what's obvious. Obviously, it's right in front. What I look forward to, where I'm going, moving ahead, getting somewhere, that's all about what I want. That's about aspirations. And what's left in front is usually what is overlooked. So now we have all these different directions and all of these different idiomatic implications that can be added to them. So I thought, okay, this is interesting because the English language gives an odd element to these organizations. So in working with people on their metaphorical landscapes, what's to the left in the metaphor is what they have left. It's what is unexplored for them. What's right is usually what's right for them. What's in front of them is usually what they want, or in the case of an obstacle, it's what gets in the way of what they want, or a pitfall or whatever else. Because forwards is about what people want. What's behind is in the background. So we know a little bit about a person's history by their metaphorical revelations about what's behind them, and so on. What's left behind, we can have a look at what they've discarded. What's right behind them, these are things, the resources that are close to them they can still use. Things in the metaphorical landscape that are left in front are usually the things they've overlooked. So what's right for them, or what's over to the right, is usually what's going to be appropriate or right for them. What's right in front of them is usually the stuff that's obvious, because it's right in front of them. And of course, what's in front is about what they want. It's where they're going, it's about their aspirations. Now in Japan, where I couldn't do the idiomatic aspects of this, I wanted to know what's left, does that still be the same? If they can't say left is equal to being unexplored, and they can't say what's right is what's correct for me, those idioms don't fit. What's in front is what I look forward to. They can't do that. They don't have those idiomatic expressions. So in exploring the metaphorical landscape, now what we can start to look at is, if I ask the person, out of all of these things in your landscape, what is it that you aspire to, what you want, they invariably would indicate what's in front. If I would ask them things like, what have you, out of all the things in the landscape, what have you discarded? What have you done away with? What have you moved on from? They would basically indicate what's over here. Now, with repetition in other countries, this started to become a pattern that was very, very obvious. So what we can start to detect, this is the forensic element within the metaphor, as well as all of the other metaphorical structures in the taxonomies, that just the directions alone give us enormous amounts of data. So this is when I then started to look at, okay, what can we do with this? So with the psychodramatic, ritualistic type elements, I started to find there were parallels within certain esoteric practices and ritualistic practices throughout everything from tribal style initiations to the more Masonic style initiations, where there is ceremony and things are enacted in three-dimensional space, where frequently there are multiple players in the drama. Often the participant, the initiate, the subject who is undergoing the initiatory experience is unaware of the script that's being acted out. So they will be turning up somewhere, not necessarily aware of what's about to happen, because this is the great secret in whatever that cultural group is. So the secrets are maintained to prevent the initiates, basically, it doesn't spoil it for them. So I thought, okay, what we could do with this is potentially create a bunch of psychodramas around the taxonomy of metaphor. Because we know how these things get organized, what we could start to do is to get a group of people serving as actors. We could bring a person into an environment where we can then both reenact their metaphorical world, but also introduce them to behavioral variables that they can produce themselves to create the changes that they want to make in their lives. Now, rather than having this generic approach, which is think about the problem and tap your face, think about the problem, go to that part, think about the problem and ask how you feel. These stereotypical approaches that are fixed and don't really change according to the person that is being presented, we could actually begin to tailor-make an interaction with a person's metaphor around a ceremonial type of activity that serves in exactly the same way that the initiations do. They give you an experience that then enable you to do more with whatever it is you're doing in your life. It's not you initiated into something where you conform to the group. You're given a set of experiences that give you better tools by which to explore your reality. This is the movement. This is the creative art aspect of metaphors of movement. This is the secret society, the crazy dressing up nonsense that we've created. Now, what we have is actually now quite a large number of people. I was rather surprised at just how many people were interested. I thought I might get one or two people. Actually, we've got loads. Now, various chapters are going to be opening up in varying cities across the world. We're going to be starting off in the UK. We've got to get some people in and trained up. We're then going to be taking it overseas, and there'll be other groups. And essentially what we have is a crazy group. It's a club. It's dressing up, it's ritual, it's ceremony. Actually, what it is, it's improvisation. It's a basic improv group with a specific design of changing the consciousness of the participants by exploring their psyche and the aspects of their psyche that are outside of their conscious awareness. Those big gaps that I mentioned in the first half of the video. We can start to explore those and introduce you to aspects of your subconscious that you weren't even aware of because it's hidden away from your awareness. So that's the movement. So if you want to know more about it, there's some pages going up on the website quite soon. There'll be more added. It's all going to be very hush-hush, secret, even though I'm now telling everybody. The secrecy is nothing more than maintaining the secrecy of what we do. Because if you know what's going to happen, there's no point in doing it. It ruins the whole effect. So this is the reason for the secrecy. And of course, we're going to have badges, there's going to be dressing up, you get certificates and everything else. So have a look on the website, metaphorsofmovement.co.uk, and then navigate to the section on the movement. And you'll see all sorts of other stuff. We've got some interesting art projects. We've got some music projects coming up. Get in touch. I would like to hear from you. There's going to be more videos about the movement and some hints about what we're doing. So I'll see you then.